Hello, it is Saturday, March 5th, 2022. I'm Chris Remo, and welcome back to the New York Times Crossword Daily Solve. As it turns out, I wasn't sure if I would be able to record the daily crossword today. It looks like I am able to, so hopefully the audio quality isn't too terrible. There's quite a lot of noise in this environment, so I don't really know how it'll turn out, but I don't know. Hopefully it's listenable. I'm not going to know until I complete this, by which point it will have been too late. Up on the channel today, there was a bonus video that I released in case I wasn't able to record this video. So that was maybe 6-month-old video of myself solving the New York Times crossword that was published on the date of my birth. And that was something that was, at the time, going around in the Daily Solve Discord chat server, and so I thought, well, I'll take part in this minor fad that was happening, and I'll record it in case I ever need it. And it turns out I suppose I didn't need it today, but I published it because I thought I might. So that's up there if you're interested. And also, actually, I should thank the Patreon benefactors. So thank you to Laura, Sexton, Alex, and as always, the inestimable Hood Monster for bringing us this edition of the Daily Solve. They are benefactors, as I say, of the Daily Solve Patreon campaign, which is how you can directly support this channel and make it a sustainable part of my daily work. And those three have done that. And if you'd like to join them, you can do so at patreon.com/dailysolve, where if you back the Patreon campaign at any tier, you will see another video that went up today, which was the practice video for the new Bosswords Spring Themeless League. If you were a patron going back several months into fall, or if you've become a patron since then and caught up on the videos, you might remember the Bosswords Fall Themeless League, which was a weekly themeless crossword solving competition that I entered in and found quite challenging. There are 3 difficulty levels, and I chose the most difficult one, Stormy, which is more difficult than a New York Times Saturday, so more difficult, I suppose, than the puzzle I will be solving today. And I've solved the practice puzzle and then what's called the preseason puzzle, which I'll put up on the Patreon tomorrow. So the league starts in earnest on Monday. So the puzzle number 1 I will solve on Monday or sometime in the coming week. Probably not Monday, but soon. Anyway, that's all on the Patreon, and more going up all the time. If you're interested in that, link in the description field underneath the video or patreon.com/dailysolve. So all that said, let's get on to today's crossword. This is a Saturday puzzle, so a themeless puzzle, speaking of those. And it was constructed by Namjin Yoon, a name I recognize. He's done about half a dozen New York Times crosswords, and it was edited, as always, by Will Shorts. We seem to have a new style little privacy veil notice here. So ready to start solving? It doesn't, I think it used to say okay. Now it says play. All right, let's play. That sounds weird. I'm going to keep saying okay. All right. Oh, look at this. This is an interesting looking grid. It sort of looks like an illustration. It's symmetrical about one of the diagonal axes. Can't tell if it's meant to suggest something. I don't know. Looks like some kind of an arrow, maybe. An arrowhead up in the corner, and then shaft of the arrow and the, sort of speed lines maybe around the, I'm not sure. But it's a very interesting design, very unusual. So let's start looking here. So much of Iceland's greenery. Much of Iceland's greenery. Not sure. Expression ending with a rising voice. Could be something like, do I? Or I do? It's an expression, so I assume it will have more than one word. Presumably, if it were a single word, I guess the single word could be an expression, but I sort of associate that more with a phrase. I don't know. Let's keep looking. Low dice roll. Could be 1s or 2s or 4, I suppose. 4 on 2 dice would be a low dice roll. Ones, twos, and four are the only four-letter answers that come to mind for me immediately. Halter, question mark. So the question mark makes me think that this may be referring to somebody who halts, which is not the first meaning that would come to mind for me with halter, but it is the one that comes to mind when I'm trying to think of a punny thing this might mean. And here we have same. This could be so do I, or as am I, or as do I. Could be any of those things, really. Play mind games with. To deceive or misdirect. Does that fit? I don't think it does. It does not. 6. Costa to a botanist. I don't know that. Chancellor Scholz of Germany, finally. Something I can put in the grid. Olaf, is it Olaf or Olaf Scholz? I think it's Olaf Scholz. Yes, it must be. I'm certain. And then 17 across, Duck Soup for one. Duck Soup is a Marx Brothers film, so I suppose it would be a farce. So that's actually nice. That does confirm Olaf Scholz of Germany. Easily bought. Could be corrupt or something like that if one is easily bought. For sale, but we're not going to have a rebus on a themeless day. Course option. Could be entree, which in the US refers to a main dish, although not elsewhere. Organization created in the wake of Silent Spring. Silent Spring, that was a documentary dealing with ecological issue. Was it some kind of pesticide or something? I've never actually seen it, but I think it must be the EPA, Environmental Protection Agency, which I think Nixon signed into law. Contracting sheet. Or contracting sheet. Oh, contracting sheet. Sheet of ice, an ice cap, perhaps, which are indeed contracting. Speaking of the EPA. Blank Tang, singer dubbed Asia's eternal queen of pop. That's interesting. Greenlands. Oh. So Lee's for fields. Greenland. Speaking of... oh, no, this wasn't Greenland. It was Iceland's. Iceland's greenery. And anyway, we have Greenlands here. Easily bought. Could be venal. If someone is venal, they're, I suppose, sort of corruptible or arguably even already corrupted. They're, self-interested, I suppose. I don't believe you. Prove it. This looks like Teresa Tang. I'm going to try that. Teresa Tang. I'll have to look her up. Oh, no, maybe not. Oh, right. It must be Teresa. Well, I don't know it's Teresa, but I suspect it is. And the version of this name without an H, I guess is what I meant to say. Fictional device in which to convey secret information. I think I might know what this is, ridiculously. So there was actually, speaking of farce, there was a sort of farcical spy. I guess, I don't know if you'd call it a sitcom. It's not really a sitcom, but it was sort of a comic spy fiction show called Get Smart that I used to watch in rerun on Nick at Night, which was a programming block on children's channel Nickelodeon that showed old television. And in that program, there was a device called the Cone of Silence, which I don't remember very much about this, but I think it was the gag that it was also hard for the people in the Cone of Silence to hear each other. I can't quite remember, but I think it might actually be this based on the way that this ends, which is a ridiculous piece of knowledge that I just happen to have. All right. Play mind games with. Oh, psych out. There we go. It's booked before getting caught. Not sure. Same. So this could be so do I or so am I. It could be one of those two. Means... actually don't see it immediately. What about this? Imperturbable. Stoic, perhaps? If you're stoic, you are not easily perturbed, not easily bothered. So this looks like so do I for same. Here we have low dice roll. So ones. One of my, 3 options, I think, turned out to be correct. Expression ending with a rising voice. So this could be do I? Do I? Do I have a lilt in my voice when I ask do I? I don't know what this would be. Much of Iceland's greenery. Is this obvious? I'm not sure. I don't know. I suppose do I might be incorrect, although it could be moi, actually. Moi? Me? I'm in France, so that would be appropriate. Does that help at all? Much of Iceland's greenery. In the UK, Iceland is the name of a grocery store that sells primarily frozen products, but I can't imagine that would be the misdirection going on here. Boy, it got quite dark all of a sudden, didn't it? Sorry about that. I'm lurking in the shadows. I'm not sure if there's much I can do about that at the moment. It seems to have just come on. Well, I don't know. I might delete this until I have a better idea. Although, interestingly, I is the third letter in either of the 2 options I have in mind. Needle exchange. Friendly banter. Wow, that's very clever. Wow. That's an extremely clever clue. So, needle exchange meaning needling one another as friends might. Sorry, I'm going to see if I can get any more light. I don't think so. So, exchanging needles or friendly banter. That's very, very clever. And so here, Costa to a botanist. Rib. Oh, okay. I suppose that just must be terminology or translation. Was not familiar with that. Okay, so the I was confirmed in the third letter. So this could be do I or moi. I think those are the 2 options. Halter. And here we have and then not a chance. And here very best. It could be cream of the crop. That does fit. That does fit. I'm doing well with these long answers. That's sort of nice. And what about this? Calvin and Hobbes character described as a 6-year-old who shaves. Okay, ridiculously, I know this as well, because Calvin and Hobbes was my favorite comic strip growing up, and there was a point in my childhood when I could probably quote essentially any Calvin and Hobbes strip. If you started reading it to me, I probably could have finished it, which is absurd, but probably true. Anyway, the character Mo, the sort of bully character, I think was described as a 6-year-old who shaves. Not a chance. Forget about it? Hey, that fits as well. I seem to be on Namjin Yoon's wavelength here with this crossword. I'm just coasting along. It's actually very nice. I've had some challenging puzzles over the past week. Incapacitate. Doing okay for myself. Doing okay for myself. Oh, maybe forget about it is not correct. What would have a G here? It's sort of surprising. What about this? Kind of scrum. Yeah, this isn't looking great. So which do I think is more likely to be correct? Forget about it or cream of the crop? Counsel, in brief. Could be ABA, the American Bar Association. That would mean forget about it. Well, it wouldn't mean forget about it is correct, but it would make it more likely than cream of the crop to be correct. So the American Bar Association, so a council of counselors or attorneys, that could be that. Reversible patterned fabrics. Oh, I'm going to know this when I see it, but I'm not going to be able to think of it. That's my prediction. Imitation vibes. Could be auras and kind of wave. Attempt to play peacemaker. Step in, perhaps? You could step into a fight? Green light. Kind of wave. Oh, a sine wave. A sine wave is a kind of wave that, I'm sure it has other applications or is relevant in other ways, but I know it primarily as in a musical context, where a synthesizer could output a wave in the shape of a sine curve. So that's how I'm familiar with that anyway. Robe for a sumo wrestler. I can't remember if I know this, to be honest. Fretted. Fretted could be stewed, as in stewed over something that is troubling you. Word often seen in comic book lettering could be kapow. I think I solved something the other day. Oh, maybe that was a mini puzzle on the Patreon, but something that had Batman. No, maybe that was a regular daily. Had some reference to how hits are referred to in Batman, and I think it was referring to the excellent 1960s Adam West version of Batman, when things like kapow would come up on screen. Oh, a green light could be a nod. Yes. Oh, is a kimono a robe for sumo wrestler? Maybe I didn't know that. Oh, so I was on the right track with cream of the crop, but it's crème de la crème, so it would be the French equivalent of that idiom, I suppose. The cream of the cream. So it's close, but not correct. Imitation. Why do I not see that? Oh, damasks. Damasks. I actually don't. It's one of many words I encounter in the crossword that I really don't know through speech. I know them through reading, and this is one of them. Anyway, imitation is mock, so that makes sense. Mock crab, imitation crab, for instance. Surname in a Virginia Woolf title. Mrs. Dalloway, right? And sparkling alternative could be still, as in still water or sparkling water. They may be dealt or folded arms. Yes, I see. You could have an arms dealer or folded arms physically. Incapacitate. Is that maim or maul? Doing okay for myself. I get on. There we go. That's why there's a G there. I get on. Doing okay for myself, I get on. It's similarly casual, and that tends to be the sort of thing that's consistent in between cluing and the answer in the New York Times crossword. Kind of scrum. Oh, a media scrum. That's a term. What is that? That's Is that when journalists are sort of all huddling around to get a quote from someone or something like that? I'm certain that's a phrase, but I couldn't tell you precisely what the application is. The Jungle Book character. I don't know. Is this something else, the scrum? Rat out could be tell on somebody, to rat them out, to tell on them. I'm going to delete this just in case. Takes responsibility for is owns. You could own something by taking responsibility for it. Answer rudely could be to snap at somebody. Pertinent could be on point. Oh, this isn't I get on, it's I get by. That's why this looked strange. So this is Media Scrum, and the Jungle Book character is Baloo, who I do recognize that character from the Jungle Book, so that makes sense. And halter. Maybe this is not what I thought it was going to be. And what is this? It's booked before getting caught. Oh, a flight. You could book a flight before catching it. That's very clever. Uh-huh. Oh, it could be right. Oh, right, I see. And I think there's a bit of a sarcastic implication here. Right. Uh-huh. That sort of thing. So what is this? Halter. Now, what does this mean? Oh, wow. It's even more sort of indirect than I had even suspected. So it's a sentry, or somebody who says halt, who goes there, that sort of thing. I think that must be what that means. Oh, and much of Iceland's greenery is moss. I really should have thought of that earlier, but I didn't. And that does allow the expression ending with a rising voice to be moi. I should have considered what the possibilities were for the Iceland greenery with moi or do I. But I didn't. Or I did, and I didn't land on anything I can't remember. All right. Rule to take exception to. And unlikely to tip. And steamed masa dishes. Masa is corn flour, right? Or cornmeal. I'm going to be really irritated when I see this because I'm sure it will be something that I should already get, but I'm not seeing it. Allow, permit, or let, I don't know. Traditional filling for momo, Nepalese dumplings. I love momo. But what is a traditional filling for them that fits in 3 letters? That's the part I'm not sure about. I've had momo stuffed with many different things, but I can't think of any that have 3 letters. Probably another thing that it will irritate me when I see it. Let's keep going. Tesla for 1. Nikola Tesla for 1. So for 1 could mean an example of a Tesla. So Nikola Tesla, the most famous Nikola, or the most famous Tesla, I should say. Rule to, I suppose I should try and confirm or deny that with crosses, though, to be fair. Allow. For 1 more letter, it could still be permit, but it isn't. Oh, yak. Yes, yak would be a traditional filling for momo, right? In the Himalayas. There we go. Should have gotten there more quickly, but I did not. Unlikely to tip. So I keep wanting this to be stingy, and that Y doesn't dissuade me from that, but there's a U here, and psych out. Maybe it's not psych out. Should there be an E on psych? Play mind games with. I don't know. I don't know what the second word would be in that case. Rule to take exception to. And allow. I should move on. I'm getting a little bit hung up here. Many a Pablo Neruda work. I don't know. I'll have to come back to that. Word shortcuts. Well, this could be Microsoft Word. But it could be ellipses, maybe? An ellipsis, which is the 3 dots, can sometimes be a shortcut in the sense that it can imply well, it can sort of bridge a gap. If you're quoting somebody, you could use an ellipsis to leave out a certain amount of text. And I suppose in that sense, you could call it sort of a shortcut from the earlier part of the passage to the latter part of the passage. I don't know if that's what the constructor is looking for, but it sort of makes sense to me intuitively. Letters on a pass. And fix. And what is this? Leeches. Could be saps as in energy. You could leech energy or sap energy. And then what is this? Letters on a pass. Boy, it's getting dark again. What kind of pass is this? I'm not sure. Here we have fix. Here we have like a dewlap. Oh, excuse me, I'm sorry. I'm apparently quite tired. I usually do these videos first thing in the morning before I have a chance to get tired, so it's funny doing it at a time where that is not true. Spanish term of endearment. I think ellipses might be wrong. I think I came up with a funny justification for why that might be true, but I don't know that it is. Like a dewlap. It's a desert animal or something, right? What about this? Time constant symbol. Is it tau? Something to meditate on. Ah, yoga mat. There we go. That works. And so what is this? Animal that climbs cactuses to eat their flowers. Iguana, presumably. That's a desert animal, certainly. Like a dewlap. Oh, saggy. All right. Fair enough. Rule to take exception to. I'll be very curious to see what this eventually is. Here we have scooched over, could be made room for somebody on a couch, say. Wrap order. Here we have initials for East Germany. DDR. Common bake-off challenge could be a tart. Bother. Oh, and here's that wrap order again. Wrap order. So there's a question mark, so it's some sort of pun or wordplay, and wrap is spelled like something that wraps around something. I mean, it could be wrap as in a wrapped food item. It could be wrap as in an article of clothing. I'm not sure. Hairspray co-composer shaman. I don't know. Mort? That would work with R. That's a pretty random stab, but it would fit. Fix. Oh, actually, yeah, you could say we're in a mess. We're in a fix. And then you might need to fix the mess. So you'd fix your fix, I suppose. That would be amazing if this turned out to be Mort. Does that work here? Wrap order. What about this? Spanish term of endearment. I'll probably recognize this, but I doubt I'm going to get it ahead of time. Ryan, if you've got mail. Meg Ryan, I do know that. Oh, I think, was it M. Ryan came up in that incredibly clever film-themed crossword of last Thursday or Wednesday? That was quite amazing. Additive once extracted from kelp. I do know this. MSG, monosodium glutamate, was once extracted from kelp and now is synthesized, I believe. Okay, so Pablo Neruda work. Okay, so poem. I was wondering if earlier I was wondering if this was going to be some kind of poetic form or something, but I couldn't think of any way to start with and end with something that made sense in this number of letters. But, tone poem, that sounds right. Yes. And letters on a pass. Boy, I just don't know what this is. I just don't know what it's looking for. I don't even know what sort of pass this is. Yeah, I just don't know. What about this? Word shortcuts. Alt something? Is there... Could it be a shortcut on a PC keyboard? Alt? I don't think so. I'm not sure. What about down here? Spanish term of endearment. Let's keep saying that. The hairspray composer. Uh-oh. I was saying I was on this puzzle's wavelength, but maybe I've lost it. Maybe I am just sticking resolutely to a constant sine wave, and this puzzle is going off in a more unpredictable direction. Wrap order. I'm sorry if you're seeing any of these, because I appear not to be. Word shortcuts. Oh, elisions? Maybe it's elisions. If you elide part of a word, like, I think you could say can't you're eliding a syllable in cannot. I cannot do that, I can't do that. You're eliding that nah towards the end. Spanish term of endearment. Oh, poppy, perhaps? Mary shaman. Why did I think mort when something obvious like Mary is more obvious here? Although that doesn't really help either, does it? Maybe that's why. Bother. You could be a pest. You could be a... Oh, it's Mark. It's none of the things I thought. But it is a more common name than Mort, so I still don't know why I went for Mort. And Mary and Mark are both much more common. Anyway, a wrap order is and scene. So if a director is ending a scene and saying, oh, that's a wrap, they could say and scene. That's the order to wrap the scene. Wrap order. Very clever. Very clever clue. Unlikely to tip. Is this stingy somehow? Allow. No. Oops. Georgetown athlete. Oh, I think I know this. Is it Hoya? I don't know what a Hoya is, but I think that might be the answer here. Allow. I just don't see what any of these things are. Rule to take... tyranny. So rule as in reigning over people, ruling over them, not rule as in a particular stricture. All right, so unlikely to tip is definitely not stormy. I mean, at least we've ruled it out. Steamed masa dishes. And play mind games with. This does look like Psych Out, doesn't it? So what is this here? Unlikely. Oh, it's not. Very frustrating. It's not unlikely to tip as in to leave money to your server. It's unlikely to tip as in unlikely to fall down, as in furniture. It could be sturdy. And so to allow something is to allow somebody is to admit them. And this doesn't look right. I would have assumed tamales, not tomates. What is that? Do I have something wrong? I might. Many a Pablo Neruda work. Letters on a pass. Well, this I have no idea why that would be nip, so... Oh, a love poem. Oh, and you could have a VIP pass. There we go. All right. Love poem. And I think that makes more sense anyway, because I think a tone poem, despite being called a poem, I think is actually a musical concept. Anyway, I may or may not be correct about that, but I do think this a steamed masa dish would be a tamale, which is I am indeed, as predicted, irritated that I didn't think of that earlier. But there it is. Whoa. Sorry, that played through my computer speaker, which I wasn't expecting. I don't know how to, on OBS, which is the recording software, I don't know how to get the sound from the computer to go into the recording. So I was expecting not to have any, not to have the jingle, but maybe it came through the speaker into the microphone. I don't know. Anyway, this whole screen here has been redesigned. Is that brand new as of today? I don't remember seeing this before. Anyway, admire your puzzle or view all games. That's funny. I guess I will admire my puzzle. All right. So I very much enjoyed this Saturday puzzle. I do think I was sort of on the constructor's wavelength here. I was doing well with the long answers. Friendly, I mean, some absolutely brilliant cluing, I must say. Needle exchange as friendly banter. That is very, very clever. Fictional device in which to convey secret information. This is an extremely straightforward clue, but it does rely on slightly obscure knowledge, I would say. Very best, creme de la creme. So that's a straightforward clue, but then it's paired. Oh, no, that was fairly straightforward as well. Not a chance. Forget about it. But there were other, I think, quite subtle clues. What were some of them? Oh, right. Rap order and scene. Very, very clever. Oh, boy. Oh, fix and mess is pretty good. I mean, I think that's as far as one word misdirection, that's pretty good because it sort of almost implies the opposite of what it ends up being if you're not thinking of fix in the correct meaning of it. And interesting to know that much of Iceland's greenery is moss. That makes sense. Anyway, I really enjoyed this puzzle. I enjoyed it a great deal, and maybe part of that is because I do think I got lucky with some of these long answers, and it's so helpful to get those almost grids, not quite grid spanning, but almost grid spanning answers. And there we have it. That was the Saturday puzzle. I had a great time with it. I hope you did as well. Let me know how you fared if you found this. All of its misdirection and slightly obscure references to be more of a challenge than usual, on track for a Saturday, or possibly a little easier than usual. I don't know. It's always hard to say, but I found it pretty approachable and I enjoyed it. Oh, and I just realized I don't have the privacy screen set up on this computer yet because I started doing that more recently. Let's see. I think I can create that quickly. The spoiler wall to discuss yesterday's puzzle. Whoops. It's a bit too much of it. There we go. We'll just clean that out. And I guess I could make it white just to be consistent. All right, there we have it. And I guess I usually let at least the name of today's puzzle poke down. All right, sorry for making you bear with me there. Oh, and you know what? Out of my ordinary routine, I don't think I've yet isolated the comments from yesterday's puzzle. So let me pull that up. I apologize. I'm not very well prepared, am I? Let's see. So, speaking of the Waldorf salad, which was referenced in yesterday's puzzle, James Andrews says, there's a great episode of Faulty Towers that features Waldorf salad. Celery, apples, walnut, grapes, and a mayonnaise sauce. That is a great episode of Faulty Towers. The American man, I guess, who comes to Faulty Towers. And so that's useful to remember what's in a Waldorf salad. Celery, apples, walnuts, grapes. I don't know that I've ever had a Waldorf salad. Laura Sexton, although, on that, points out, in her experience, Waldorf salad is apple, celery, and mayonnaise. My mother always added walnuts, and that's the way I like it. So I think walnuts maybe are an optional inclusion, perhaps, in Waldorf salad. I think that may be true, but I'm not certain. Kathy Swope explains that a docu-soap, which was referenced in yesterday's puzzle, is a documentary following people in a particular occupation or location over a period of time. The docu-soap, then here in quotation marks, so must be referencing something else. The docu-soap airport reminded many of us exactly why we stay put. And Ben Ward, I guess, has a different interpretation, says, I'd argue that Airport is more of a straight documentary show. Docu-soaps like Jersey Shore, The Hills, and The Only Way is Essex tend to be centered on a certain lifestyle, and as Chris said, at least half-staged and with the feel of soap operas. That's fair enough. I suppose it could be the particular genre or could be a broad category. I don't really know. Michelle McBride Charpentier said, you say cold brew is obviously an alternative to hot coffee, but this isn't strictly true. It simply refers to a method of brewing, not serving, and some people do heat up cold brewed coffee. The reason heating up a hot brew is seen as a caffeine junkie scraping the bottle of the barrel is because hot brew loses its flavor quickly, so reheating it means, by definition, it has lost flavor over time it takes to cool and therefore tastes worse. Cold brew keeps its flavor for a long time and can be heated up days later and tastes great. So yes, I am aware that cold brew does refer specifically to a preparation as opposed to any cold coffee. So you're right that I was a little bit unspecific there, but I do think it's true that most people assume cold, if not otherwise specified, cold brew will be served cold. I think in most cases, but your clarification is well taken. All right. Well, there might be more, but that's all that is easily obvious to me. And given how much time I've spent sort of faffing around here getting this set up, I will end it there. So thank you so much for joining me. I hope this is even remotely listenable. I probably should have tested beforehand, but there isn't much I can do to change it. So I guess there wasn't all that much point testing it. I hope it was all right. My current intention is to keep doing these for the next couple of days as I'm out of town. So hopefully that remains true. I didn't have bonus videos prepped for the remainder of the days. So I don't know, but my intention is to get one of these out each day. So thank you for joining me. I apologize for the quality issues, and please do subscribe. I know this might not be the most standout example of excellent audio-visual quality on this channel, but if you enjoy these videos, please do subscribe to the channel. I would appreciate it. And if you know somebody who might enjoy it, pass it along to them as well. And with that, I will do my best to be back tomorrow for the Sunday puzzle, the long Sunday puzzle. But until that point, please do have an excellent remainder of your Saturday. Take care.